Growing sweet potato slips can be very frustrating. This year we tried several methods, some of which worked really well.
Oh, look at all of those roots.
And others which would never do again. What I want for you to get out of this video is the ability to speed up your process so that you can get right to a great sweet potato harvest. The first method is the water in a glass method. You pick your potatoes, stab them with toothpicks, set them halfway into water, and just let them grow in a sunny window. Yeah, that didn't work so well. We started with 3 potatoes, 2 died. 1 went bad while we were on vacation, so no vacations are allowed when using this method. It took 3 months to get a single slip, which actually is still going. It wasn't a lesson in patience, it was a lesson in frustration. If you're curious about those greens, those were from another method, so you can see for yourself that there are faster methods that will give you many more slips. A second method for growing sweet potato slips is growing them inside in a pan. You take a foil pan, stab several holes in the bottom, put in some sterile dirt, which is very important because you don't want flies all in your house. Sterile dirt is worth every penny. And then you add in the potatoes. Water it in. Now this requires having a warm spot with a grow light. I didn't want to allocate any space in my house for that, as well as I didn't have a grow light. So instead, I put the potatoes directly out in the yard, of which the first place that I put it was in between squash, tomatoes, sunflowers, all things that you're not supposed to put around sweet potatoes. So whether it was not quite warm enough or an hostile environment for those sweet potatoes, they didn't start growing out. Once I realized they were not surrounded by good companion plants, I switched it up and I put them here in with the basil. However, this time I buried them just a little bit deeper, and that proved to be fantastic. Now, at that point, the soil was quite a bit warmer, but it only took 4 weeks for that method to work out really well, and to the point where I didn't even have to peel off slips, put them in water, and then let the roots grow out. I could just gently, very carefully, using the right technique, which I will add a video at the end, to pull the slips off and then directly plant them because they already had roots that were intact and growing.
I'm gonna just try that. Get right back in there.
It was by far, like I cannot say enough good things about this method if you don't have access to what you need in the next method. The downside here, of course, you need it to be warmer outside. And if you're in a northern environment where you actually have winter, like we don't here in the low desert of Arizona, obviously I'm overwintering here. You can see the sweet potato vines are still in place. Then you will have to opt for the indoor method with a pan. Unless you already have sweet potatoes or you know somebody who does. I'll show you what happened inside this last winter. So what you are looking at here are some sweet potato vines. When my neighbor 1 street over harvested, she just gave us a whole bunch. It's been 2 or 3 months at this point, and you can see how beautiful. I mean, they are actively growing, trying to grow up and out. I was really worried at the time because I mean, was it going to last for 3, 4, 5 months? It's the end of January now, and we still have a month and a half before we can safely plant these in the ground. But you can see all of the massive root growth here. This is incredible. And it really looks like these are all going to make it until March when we can start planting out. So the key takeaway here is if you already have sweet potato vines, take them, put them in water, and see if you can get them to grow. This is just an east-facing window. There's nothing fancy here. No grow light, just put it in water and it's going to town. So what you're looking at here is what's left of our sweet potatoes from last year, because our first harvest, it's exciting. There's no getting around it. It's exciting the first time you ever pick something out and you actually get a potato, but realistically, it was abysmal. Expecting that we are really and truly only going to get little fingerlings, This is our next set of sweet potato slips. I will take them up, I will cut them off, and I will put them in water and let them sprout roots for just a couple of weeks. But this truly is the fastest way to get sweet potato slips. There are a couple other factors that you really have to consider though in order to have a successful harvest. It's timing and what the area is like where you're planting the potato slips. The first thing is, I know that we planted way late in the season because we didn't even start our slips until May. Knowing when your planting season can start so that your plants have the longest time, maybe perhaps in our case, it's a little bit cooler, not so much intense heat like we have in the summer, so that the plants have more time to acclimate to the ground before being expected to survive in over 100 degrees. The other thing too is this space in particular, I wasn't able to dig too far down, so the tubers didn't really have a lot of space to grow. It's not exactly like potatoes where you're hilling it. So this next year we have a fantastic spot designed specifically for them so that they can really grow 17 inches of beautiful compost from the Arizona Worm Farm, as well as protecting it with corn. Now, the other thing that I already alluded to is don't plant it next to things that will not help it be successful. So wanted to do okra, wanted to do some other kinds of plants that thankfully I remembered my mistake before. Corn actually is something that will grow really well with sweet potatoes. It will give it some dotted shading, hopefully, through the heat of the summer. The last experiment that I haven't done, and I've heard other people have had success, is to directly plant sweet potatoes in the ground and see what comes up. I've heard also that that doesn't work because you already have a potato down there and you're just working on vines. So it's an experiment that we will try this year as well. And the type of potato too. This will be an organic potato because they are known to be less likely to have anything on it which will prevent sprouting. If your store does not have organic sweet potatoes, take a hard look at what's in each bin and select potatoes that are already growing. Word of warning, you may have some leaves die back, but that goes with any method, directly planted or with slips having grown roots in water. This may also depend on the heat and how quickly your soil dries out. The slips may also need to be watered twice a day. Direct sweet potato vines or planting in dirt is definitely the way to go. No water glasses, please. I would love to hear what works best for you. Please add comments below. Thanks for watching.